talk about ATEEZ
Mm,
dropping their newest. I guess this is an EP technically, right?
yes,
Uh,
their their ninth EP, Korean EP overall, first release of 2022, and ATEEZ is the first group we're talking about from KQ Entertainment, one of the smaller K-pop labels, not one of those big four, and they're really the marquee act for KQ Entertainment, one of their biggest group by far. But this is our first time talking about them, a eight-piece boy group that debuted back in 2018. Again, this is their ninth EP. There's a lot of material out there, and they've toured in the U.S. before. They had a world tour coming up later in the year. Experienced group,
yep.
but not nearly as famous, of course, as the more noteworthy boy groups, obviously in K-pop. But yeah, what'd you think of ATEEZ? This was my first time really diving into them. I'd known the name for a little bit, but what did you think of this quick EP, which has a crazy name, by the way? What is the name of this EP?
The World EP.1 movement. Yeah, they have a lot of interesting names. Zero Fever Epilogue, Zero Fever Part
Right.
Two.
Like so all
Uh,
these trilogies and like series of
yeah,
projects in succession, the way I understand it. But yeah, what do you think of this latest entry, which is like the start of a new creative era?
yeah. Same as you. This is my first time really diving into their music. I was really struck by just how many similarities I heard or how much I heard them trying to be like some artists from the United States. Like
Hmm.
it felt very heavily influenced by a lot of the weekend's most recent stuff. It felt like,
Ah, Dawn
which
FM, you say?
yeah, Dawn FM, but just like that, even like some of that stuff he was doing before that, where it's like this like housey, trancy, like
Mhm.
sing songy, kind of leaning into rap at points. And I thought it worked to like varying effect. There were a few songs on here I really was like, this is interesting. I just also don't think the music that they're making on here with this really like overproduced EDM is really
Yeah.
like in my zone of like enjoyable music. So
Mhm.
I was like, I think there's some good stuff here, but it's just not really for me. And even if you look at some of these names like Cyberpunk or like Gorilla, it's like they're definitely going for like a certain type of like like persona or like feeling to
Mhm.
this.
Yeah.
But I just don't know if it really jived with me. What about you?
Yeah, I'd say Cyberpunk definitely aptly named. Very
Yeah.
bass heavy, crazy drums on that one. Even the beginning, Propaganda, which is really just an intro track, it starts out like it's the soundtrack to Tron. And then towards the
Yeah.
end, there, these crazy electric guitars come out of nowhere. And I'm like, holy shit, this is really cool. You don't hear like big guitars on
Mhm.
K pop all that often. But then those guitars don't really come back too much on the rest of the EP, which disappointed me. Um, my favorite song by far was the lead single with the video, Gorilla, just because that's like a true bona fide K-pop rap song. They are
Mhm.
really going for it. The energy is high. The flow I think is pretty good on that, and the hook I think just has like really big energy. But there is a really bass heavy electronic production underneath all of that. Um, I think that's where it works the best. Some of the other songs though I don't like it quite as much.
Yeah, I think Cyberpunk actually is one of the tracks that probably stood out to me most, just in terms of like pure enjoyability.
Mhm.
Um, it is definitely crazy, but I really like the way that they kind of like ride the flow on that, and like it like builds up so quickly, and then will like drop out, but just build up like right away again. It's like very propulsive. The song for sure.
Mhm.
And I also liked the da 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 da
Mhm.
do 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 very catchy around the chorus, even though obviously I didn't understand the words or what they
Yeah.
were singing about. Um, yeah, and then like kind of looking like just through here, like I feel like each song had like interesting aspects to it. Like where do I go is just so like trappy sounding. Like
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
it sounds almost kind of like Skrillex produced in some sense, but like
Uh-huh.
I just don't know. Like I just didn't find myself wanting to like run this one back right away. It's definitely different though, which I appreciate because like while you said that what was it, the ring, was it that was the most like
Gorilla.
traditional Gorilla,
Mhm.
sorry,
Yeah.
Gorilla was the most traditional K-pop sounding rap song. um I just feel like we haven't listened to any other albums like this yet from K-pop. So I was like, "Ah,
Yeah,
this is." I'm glad that they're trying stuff. That's really cool.
totally. Yeah, I think the last track, New World, I thought stood out to me as well because the guitars show up back once again there at the very last song. And I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, this sounds really cool. And then, they're kind of like singing and rapping over that like heavy production. I think it really works there. And the chorus specifically, I think, is like really epic because it's like it's really being belted out as the
Mm.
guitars are like really going, and it's like, oh my god, this is like an amazing piece of the song, by far the best part of the song. So like,
Very cinematic for sure. That
yes,
song.
exactly, very cyberpunk. So
Yeah.
I mean, shout out ATEEZ. I think this is there's definitely intentionality with this, and like
Mhm.
it's not exactly my favorite thing, but there is a lot of effort and there is a clear decision to try and make something outside of the mold, which I think is really appealing, and if the rapping is pretty good, like it is on Gorilla too, I do still have some time for it. So
Yeah.
definitely looking forward to
Absolutely.
their next like full length album. I'm and I guess the next EPs or whatever with this too, this new era, we'll see if there's a progression to come with their next music.
Yeah, I assume we're probably going to get two more EPs. So we might be talking about them pretty soon.
Yeah.
We're going to put one of their tracks, probably Gorilla, onto our Nostalgia Best of 2022 playlist. So check that out on Spotify. Give it a follow.